So the external environment I've talked about, for example, the temperature. We have the five senses that we have. These five senses mainly, they pick information from the environment. So basically, these are external stimuli. Okay, yes, these are external stimuli. So for example, the light that excites the receptors for vision, that is the photoreceptors, this is external. The sound that we hear is also external. And then the taste, the food that we eat and feel whether it is sweet or bitter, is external. And then of course smell and then touch. Those are external stimuli. Now the internal stimuli, you have actually many of them. And here we can have stretching of muscles. It can be stretching of smooth muscles, stretching of blood vessels, the increase in heart rate, information about the position of the body. Okay, when we rotate our head, the brain gets information about where the head is, where the body is actually. And then blood pressure, blood glucose levels, issues to do with the levels of hormones, levels of ions, many things. Okay, these are all internal stimuli or things that can change internally in our bodies, and then our bodies actually respond. So therefore, we can link this to that. The sensory receptors which can pick any changes that happen within the external environment are the ones that we call the exteroceptors. And then the receptors that can pick changes that happen within the body, we can call them interoceptors. Okay? So by the different stimuli that we have talked about, you can already know that we have different types of receptors, okay, responding to different type of stimuli. Stimuli stock information. Don't get confused. Okay, so photoreceptors, these ones are located in the eyes, more specifically on the retina. So we have the rods and the cones. They are the ones that detect light, and then we are able to see. That is vision. Okay, and then we have what we call mechanoreceptors. These ones can be found in the skin, muscles, joints, and then inner ear. So here we are having many, we have information that we pick, or that these receptors pick about what has touched us, or what we have even touched. That is 1, 2, pressure. Okay, pressure that is exerted. For example, we have pressure that is exerted on the ear, and that pressure has to be equalized by the internal pressure that we actually see when we talk about the Eustachian tube and how it equalizes pressure in the ear. Okay, and then we have vibrations, and then we have stretching. Okay, so those are mechanoreceptors. They are found almost everywhere. Muscles, about thermoreceptors. Thermoreceptors, like the name, it's about temperature. Okay, it's about feeling or detecting temperature changes. Okay, so if you feel cold, the skin basically picks that information about that coldness, and then information is sent to the brain for the appropriate action. Hypothalamus, we also have thermoreceptors there. And then we have what we call pain receptors. They are the ones that we call the nociceptors. Okay, nociceptors. These are the ones that detect pain. So if someone pinches you, then you'll be able to feel that someone is pinching you. Okay, because the skin has these pain receptors. But also, if you have a problem with any internal organ, the pain receptors in that organ will be. The meaning of that is that impulses will be fired to interpret that pain. Okay, and then you basically feel that pain. So that the internal organs have also pain receptors. And then we have chemoreceptors. So in our explanation about a chemical stimuli attaching to a particular receptor, so that that receptor is what we can term as a chemoreceptor. This means that for it to get excited, that is to get to fire electrical impulses, you need to have a chemical attaching to it. Okay, so in the nose and also on the tongue, we have chemoreceptors. Okay, we are able to smell because the particles get attached to these chemoreceptors, and then impulses are generated, and then we are able to interpret the kind of smell that we are having. It's the same to do with the tongue. It's all about detecting chemicals. Okay, so when we look at these sense organs, we shall see how this actually happens. How do these chemicals get into contact with these chemoreceptors to have electrical impulses fired and sent to the brain. And then we have hormonal receptors or hormone receptors. Hormones work on specific target organs. This is because these organs have receptors that where the hormones will actually bind. Okay, so we call them hormone receptors. And then you have neurotransmitter receptors. These are also actually, the neurotransmitters are actually chemicals. Okay, so they still attach them. So these chemicals, for example, acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter. So it has to attach to particular receptors to be able to cause excitement, and then depolarization, basically, to have the impulse being fired. The cell membranes, we have what we call ion channel receptors. This is basically to mean that on the cell membranes we have channels where ions move in and out of the cell. Okay, so these are also receptors. We call them ion channel receptors. And then in our discussion to do with the, for example, hormones, we'll see that hormones attach themselves to particular receptors and then causing what we call involving a coupling reaction where you'll have cyclic AMP being involved in order for that hormone to cause the impact that it needs to have. Okay, so those are that attachment of that hormone to cause this kind of reaction happens because of the